Hey guys, Juan and Angelica back here for another episode. And can you believe we already recorded 10 episodes?
Yeah, you said the last time.
And published them. Like last time we had recorded them, now they're published.
Yeah, that's what you said last time.
I'm surprised.
That we did 10 already?
I'm surprised that
we stuck to 10?
No, that we already have that many out. Like I didn't really think that we were gonna. I didn't know how many we were gonna get out.
Man, you're peeling bad.
Oh yeah. So I should probably. Well, you say I look like I'm really burnt. I don't know if you can. It comes across on camera or
you
not.
You don't even look tan. You look burned.
I said that I had the Trump burn because I have like my glasses. I was wearing my glasses when I went in the water, and when I went in the water, that means it didn't burn my eyes, like around my eyes and around my nose.
Yeah, so you have circles around your eye.
And then I have like on my forehead, like. You can see the line up here.
The problem is that
where it's white.
You sat under the sun in that water for a very long time.
But it felt good, like because we went to the lake, and it was like fresh water, so it felt really cool when you went in. It felt kind of cold.
Yeah, I stuck my feet and I felt it.
But then once you got in, then it was like really warm, and I stayed in there. I went in twice, and then by the time I came out, by the time we left, I was like, okay, I feel a little red, or I feel like my skin feels a little tight.
Uh-oh.
And then I was
leather skin right now.
And then I was like, oh yeah, but I actually got a pretty
decent
noticeable burn on my face and on my arms, and I think a little bit on my legs, but not so much. But anyway, so I was doing the math a little bit ago on how long it's been since we've actually been on this, because for me it's hard to keep track.
Since we've been on what?
Since we've been like staying at home and not going anywhere.
Oh, like lockdown.
Quarantine, quote unquote, lockdown. Mm-hmm. And it was 8 weeks since we've been in doing this.
We're at 8 weeks?
Today is 8 weeks.
Did you hear me stutter? I was like, it's been 8 weeks?
It's 8 weeks.
Seriously?
I was like,
I thought
I was trying to remember,
we were
like,
at
when
6
was
weeks,
it that we
maybe.
started. I was trying to remember when was it that we started. Mm-hmm. And then I went back and I was like, I know that when we first started this, we were like, Sandra and I were having a conversation about when we were going to actually like start working from home. Uh-huh. And I remember I was like against it, kind of. I was like, well, do we really need to start working from home? Like what's the benefit of it? Or
what's the necessary?
Like, is it really necessary? Or are we like are we kind of exaggerating? Yeah. And so I went back and I searched on Slack the conversation to figure out like what date that was. I think that was March 15th that we had that conversation.
You had that No, but we actually started like a couple of, so the 25th is the day. It was actually
25th of what? February?
The 25th of March.
March.
The 25th of March is when they mandated.
Because we had gone
a stay at home. And then we had ourselves started to self-isolate days prior. But so I ended up, the last people that we seen together was the 25th, which was the day of my niece's birthday. No, it was the 15th.
Yeah, it was the 15th. I remember.
Yeah, because 15th. she had a 15 on the 15th.
She had a 15 on the 15th. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I remember that because we had just gone to Austin, right? Like we had just like right before that we had gone to Austin.
We were supposed to be in Austin the week following.
Oh, but a few weeks before we had
a week before.
There. Yeah, we had just been there.
Yeah.
And we were like making plans that we were going to come back.
We were there like a week prior to it before everything happened.
But I was like thinking about it because I was like, man, I can't believe that it's been that long that we've actually been in this situation where we're on lockdown. And it didn't. I've been thinking about it for the last couple of days, like how long has it actually been? And then when I finally looked at it, and then I counted the weeks on the calendar. I was like, whoa, like I can't believe like we're in week 8 already. Like it's crazy.
We're in week 8.
So,
wow.
That being that we're in week 8, like are there any things that you would say that are like your favorite things that you
what
like now that you've been able to be at home, like that are there
for
things,
8 weeks?
Yeah, like are there certain things that you're like, okay, well I enjoy that I because I don't have to do, like I don't have to go out and see people, or because I don't have to do this. Like for me, like I think one of the things that I enjoy, and you can probably tell a little bit too much, is like I don't have to get dressed up so much. So like I don't have to like worry about like bless you.
Thank you.
Like Bless you.
I'm so sorry. I'm that kind of person who can't sneeze just once.
But like for me, like I've not been getting dressed up all day. Like,
and you like not getting dressed up?
I do, because I feel like when I had meetings all the time, I always constantly had to be like, thinking about what I was gonna wear, and I'm not the type of person that usually would think like that. Like I remember like I usually don't think about whether my stuff matches or not. Or
I think one of the things that I enjoy, and I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
Go ahead.
I think one of the things that I enjoy the most is that I become very self-aware of myself, and I feel like I know where where I lack. But I don't know. But the bad thing with that is that I don't know if I'm willing to improve on it. Like, I know what I need to do. I see where my faults are, because I'm very, like, this experience has made me very self-aware.
Or anything that you would care to share, or not really?
We had a conversation about organizing myself. Like, I'm very good at organizing my thoughts, but where I tend to not follow through is execution of what I need to do with all those very nicely organized thoughts, right? My next steps, right? So after organizing my thoughts and understanding what I need to do, how to get to that place where I actually finish. So again, I like the fact that this experience has taught me of my awareness and how I can very easily hyper local into myself and make myself aware of what I'm doing and how I feel. I've always since my depression and my anxiety, I've always been really good about trying to get, because I've been taught that, and through therapy and all that other stuff, because of all those conversations and all that work that I've done, I know how to do it. I put it into practice these last couple of weeks. But now, really
focusing on yourself, or like
my
on your thoughts and your things that are like working through them, I guess.
Just understand where the thought is coming from, why I'm thinking that, and what I should probably do about it. My only problem is now what I need to do. And what in the world was that? And executing that.
Yeah.
Oh, my mic just like turned on or something?
I think it's been on. I've heard you this whole time, but I don't know why it's making that noise.
Oh, I don't know. That was weird. All right, we'll keep going.
Let me make sure.
No, I think it's okay. It's fine. It's just maybe one of the things wasn't in right. It's probably up there by the camera or something.
Okay.
No, we're good.
All right. Well, let's hope it's continuing to record. Otherwise,
no, it's recording.
This will have been for nothing. But no, that was actually where I was gonna go a little bit with the conversation too, to talk about like those lessons learned, I think, from this whole thing.
Okay.
But like for me, one of the favorite things I was saying is like that I don't have to actually get dressed up. Like I don't have to I don't have to put on like clothes and go out to meetings, and so I've enjoyed that a little bit too much, probably, because now like every time I actually have like a video call where it's like with somebody that I'm not that comfortable with.
I know. I see you running around the house trying to get ready.
I'm trying to shave at that point, because I'm like I'll go days without shaving, and I just like I feel like I'm not even like, and I think that's enjoyable to me just because I don't always get to do that. So I think
shave.
No, like not get not get ready for work, not get ready to go out every day, get ready to be doing all kinds of stuff.
And
then that was like, I think that's probably one of the things that I've enjoyed the most. And I thought about that because I was like, I had a meeting last week where we actually had to dress up, and normally we just do phone calls. But this time we decided that they were going to do a video call. And when we did the video call, I was like, oh, like it's different to see people over video.
In their element?
Like in their...
Were they dressed up also?
Well, some people were, some people won't. Some people like... One guy, like, he was wearing shorts and a shirt. Okay. Which he normally would wear suits and ties. Oh. So that was different. And I think the other thing that I thought was that I've like has been interesting, but on that car in particular, like we normally only talk to each other by voice. Okay. So there are people there that I know in person,
But
I know what they look like,
and even voice.
and then there are other people that I've never seen before. So from that perspective, one, it was interesting to see like people I had never like I'd interacted with, but I had never seen in person. So I was like, oh, it was a good reminder. Like, oh, it's good to put a name to a face. So it was comfortable. But then like what you kind of said also is like I feel like I'm getting to see like people behind the scenes, like in their bedrooms and like their living rooms, and I'm like, it's kind of funny like to think about that you're getting to see so much of somebody's like house. Like it's like
Their personal space.
Like their personal
place where
space.
they go home to. Yeah.
And then when you look at like even like media right now that's reporting from home, like you see a lot of them like they have like the people are putting like little like they're either setting up like in rooms where they have some stuff that they want to like that they feel identifies them or like part of their personality. Yeah. Or they're decorating it like that. So I just think that that's kind of interesting too, like to be able to see a little bit more of what like people are really like behind the scenes or like at their houses. And because when would you ever get to see that? When would you ever get to see like somebody's home unless you were invited there? Like in a lot of times when you're in like relationships where it's not so where you're not that close, you wouldn't be invited to somebody's bedroom. Or even if you are close, like sometimes if you go to somebody's house, you go to their living room, you go to their kitchen, but you may not go to their bedroom right away.
Well, what? You're just
I'm laughing because I know what you're thinking.
No, you know what you're thinking now that you said what you said because of the way you said it.
No, because the way you're looking
I understand.
At me, but
confused, like that's. I don't know. I don't.
But that's not what I meant. I mean,
I know what you're saying.
Like when
I know what you're saying. When
friends invite you over for dinner, like they don't invite you to dinner, and then you go to to check out how their bedroom looks. Like
you're still saying the same thing in a different way.
So I just think like that's different. But as far as like lessons learned, like I think what you were saying is probably a good thing. Like a lesson about yourself. Like I think for me, if I think about like, are there any lessons out of this? Like, I don't know. I feel like maybe it's a little bit too soon still to tell.
Really? 8 weeks with yourself?
Because we're still in it, I think.
Yeah, but I think at some point you get to understand something about yourself. Something that maybe... Because maybe you're not used to it. To being, like, not around people for a very long period of time. And you think you're doing the same thing over and over. But you know what? Maybe el 20 no te va a caer until you run into people and then things start clicking to you. You start identifying and be like, okay, I don't like that. I didn't like that. I prefer this. I'm not like that wasn't a thing before. Why is it bothering me now? I think it's not going to happen maybe
like people's behavior or what?
Maybe your behavior. It doesn't have to be with anybody else. Like maybe it's a behavior that you have. Maybe like it's going to be something that maybe you interrupt people too much, or it might be something like that you look away instead of, like.
Well, I think that's one thing about video calls is that you have to be, I think the way you comes across differently on video than it does on in person. So I think you have to be different, and I think you have to be more aware.
And that's part of the conversation we had last time.
Yeah, like I think you have to be more aware, like about how you're like interacting and like how you're, because a lot of times if you're in a meeting where somebody's people are talking like one at a time. And if you're all on screen at the same time, because they have those options where you can be like only one person, you can see only one person, or you can see everybody at the same time. And usually everybody you have an expression on your face, or like if you're not engaged, like you can tell if you're not engaged. So I feel like you have to be aware of those things. Like, do I look engaged? Do I not look engaged? And like you have to seem like you're participating.
The thing, okay, so what I've noticed with everybody who's doing video calls is it looks like everybody's in an interview. It looks like everybody's in an interview. Did you hear me at all? What I just said?
Just looking at the video.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. So I feel like whenever I see people like interacting in video calls, they're always like in interviews are always very stiff. They're very, you know what I mean? It looks like everybody's sitting in a conference room and everything's very political and everything's very, office political. Like people are trying to play office politics. Like even in video
in a work
calls.
meeting, or you mean like in a...
All the settings. Like all the settings. Like it's very difficult to work in the same... How can I put it? You know how when you go into an office and you work with people, you don't have to talk, but you learn their mannerisms. Mm-hmm. Right. And so when you're in a video call, like you have to talk. If you are expected to participate, not participating is not going to fly. Like there's people, we've had meetings with people where some people just don't say anything. They just greet and then they dismiss and they're like, okay, well, I got what I needed from the meeting, right? I'll work on what I need to. When you're expected to participate, you have to find something to say when you're in a video call. Otherwise, you're just sitting there. And I don't know if that's...
But I think that's
a video call.
Any call, no? Like I think anytime you're in a meeting, you're expected to participate to a certain degree.
Not necessarily. I've been in a lot of meetings where there's like over 20, 30 people. And
unless you're like in a lecture or something. That would be more like a lecture style where you're just kind of like listening or attending, or you're like... Because there's conference calls like that happen that I participate on where like only the speakers are visible and the audience isn't. So there you're not going to speak or you're not going to say anything. They do ask you to like chat or like send messages or whatever. Mm-hmm. Or they'll ask for like at a certain point they'll ask you if you want to say something or if you want to show up on video.
Well, okay, so I've seen a couple of meetings where it's like maybe 10, 15 people. Like the smaller the group, the more you're expected to say. And I think it has forced a lot of people to like act a certain way, do things that they normally wouldn't do. Like if they are like in that, like I said, it's like a video call and it looks like an interview. So you have a lot of people doing a lot of this. Like it's the weirdest thing. You'll see like if they're in agreement, like instead of them just like looking like even person, if the way they react would have been just like to look at the other person and just be like, okay, and take notes if they need to and, move on about the day. But all of a sudden you see people do this. I'm shaking my head up and down, nodding up and down. And you're like, what in the world is going on? And that's the way they're showing they're agreeing, right?
Are you talking about me?
No, I've seen other people. You do it too, right? That's right.
I do it because I was doing it. I was doing a Facebook Live last week. Mm-hmm. And I was like, it was a split screen. And when I was on the split screen, I kept looking at when I was doing other stuff while I was doing it because I was like managing the live stream. Yeah. But when I would catch myself, I was like doing like this.
Because you would like, shake your head.
There was like a 5-second delay between like the video that I was producing and the video that was live. Yeah. So when I looked at the video that was live, I kept seeing myself doing this, and I was like, okay.
What are you doing? You gotta explain what you're doing. Huh? You're bouncing your head up and down. I
was like moving my head up and down, like nodding in agreement. But I kept like I was doing it like as an affirmation to the other person that was on there because I just wanted them to know that I was like.
So the thing is that
attention.
So there's usually in person there's a verbal like notion of like when you agree or you're listening or you're captivating what the other person is saying, you'll interact. Either you'll nod your head or you'll say things like, okay, all right. It's easy, but I mean through Zoom it captures, if your mic is on, you're capturing all the noise, and so it sounds like an interruption.
It reminded me of that episode in The Office where they're trying to make Dwight like seem friendly or like seem like so he can go talk to a woman client, and they're like, just smile, and he's like nodding his head like all creepy, and I was like, yeah. I felt like that I was like, I was trying to do it to agree, but I was like, at a certain point I looked like I was just like a bobblehead. I was just like
you're just looking crazy,
shaking my head up and down.
No, but that's what I'm saying though. Like it seems like you're interacting completely different. Like I said, people are behaving in different forms right now because it's video call, and so they're doing things and like that's not normal to them, and so maybe that's a really great thing because maybe they're picking up on things and they're able to do things that they weren't able to do before, and now they're understanding that maybe this might work as opposed to what I did before might not work. And that's getting back to what I was saying is that I think when you go back into the real world and you're taking meetings in person and you're talking to people and people like you're interacting with people, like whether that's in a line at a grocery store or whether that's, you know, passing people up in a mall, I think you're going to catch on to behaviors that you have and maybe behaviors that you don't like what other people do or think, you know what I mean? And then you'll adjust to it differently. So like one of our first episodes, like I said, nothing's going to be the same when we go back out. It's definitely going to change.
But I think there's certain things that you can't do over video. Like yesterday, I caught a little bit of American Idol.
Can I see some of your order, please?
American Idol's doing like video. They're doing other like
their
stuff.
Auditions.
Yeah, other auditions and stuff via video. And I only watched like maybe like 2 minutes of it, and
you can't see what people like.
In that 2 minutes, the girl that was one of the girls that they were featuring, like she was performing on her back porch. And they had like, I guess they had set a camera guy and like they had set up in the back.
That's cute.
In her back porch, and like you could see like she was singing, but it was just weird. And then they had like the 3 judges and the host, and they were trying to like interact with each other and interact with her, and it just was like there was
like
a big
through
disconnect.
Video call.
Yeah, like they kept like going from one person to the next person.
It's at least some things can be done.
Like they
that.
were like saying like trying to say their excitement about her performance and trying to judge her, and I was like, it just like the interaction of the judges together wasn't there. So like you couldn't see them simultaneously like interacting with each other and like reacting with each other to the performance. Or
there's a lost miscommunication,
and you couldn't see the audience. And like so, I felt
there was an audience.
No, you couldn't see them. Like normally in American Idol, you'll see like.
Oh, I thought you said that like they had people tuning in as part of audience, and they.
No, they were still telling people to vote. So I would be interested to know like, did they actually get people to vote? Because I feel like there probably wasn't a lot of engagement.
Yeah.
And I think like I think like there's some things that you can't do.
Video is never going to be able to replace in person. No, definitely not.
Because I think like there's a loss, but there's certain things you can do. Like you know, I think like for.
Well, but did you see like a difference when we went from like phone calls to video calls, right? Because with the phone call,
I never really made that many video calls.
No, I mean with phone calls, like I'm assuming you had a phone.
Yeah, no.
Do you remember like the phone calls like you would have, and you like it just didn't like you just said what you needed to say and you hung up? And now I think with video calls there's an expectancy of like, right, so you're self-aware of yourself and you're like looking at, you're like, you know, you're trying not to move, and then or if you are trying to move, you're trying to like do it all, like bounce your head up and down, make sure they see you agreeing.
Or are you saying just like any video call, or are you just saying like, are you saying like a meeting business call or like a meeting video call or some sort?
I don't know what I'm saying at this point, but I'm just saying like, I guess what I was trying to say earlier was what I said earlier is that nothing beats in person, right? Nothing's going to change that. Nothing's going to be, it's just not. Like I try to see Trevor Noah. He did this one supposed video call with somebody else, right? And even he, who was that talented, it still didn't come off as if it would have come off in person. Even though he's very interactive, and the people that he had on as guests as he was interviewing them through video call, there was still like a disconnect. There was still a moment where people would say like, huh? What?
But you know,
what did you say again?
Well, there's some people that just look uncomfortable
on video calls.
On video calls, like they just don't look like they just look like terrified of the video call. Like they look like they're like scared, like to be on there, or they just like, or some people just like they won't go live until the very last minute.
Oh my God, that's like me.
Or once the meeting starts,
so
then
I did
they'll
a
go
live
because they don't want the pressure, like, because you know when you walk into a room or like you go down a call and like the first people you join in, like if you join early or if you join in, like usually people will wait a few minutes for people to join in, or at least a minute or something. And so usually like they'll make small talk in between. And I think people that are like nervous or I don't know if it's shy or if it's they just are like busy, or they just don't feel comfortable engaging in that way. But they like you could tell like that quiet time at the beginning is kind of like for some people it's like nerve-wracking, because it's like you have to like make small talk, like, oh, how's it going, or how are you guys doing, and or like I don't know, it's just like awkward, like being at the beginning. I think I see it sometimes when some people just feel like seem really nervous, or like it seems like it's really like awkward for them. And or like some people will just put their like little caption, or their little like they won't be on the video, they'll just be audio, and then when the meeting starts, then you see them. yeah So I just think that's like, I just think like it's different, like all these like video calls, the way you have to do them is like really like uncomfortable a little bit, but I think it's also good because it means like if you're doing video, like if you wanted to do like a live stream, or if you wanted to do more like online content like that, like this is like a good time to kind of like practice. And just do a little bit of it.
That was the time to practice to do. So I think people can practice going live wherever they're at. It'll definitely make you very uncomfortable, and then you can adjust, and maybe you can get better at video conference calls if you go live and you practice in other ways.
But you were going to talk about your live stream?
No. I was just going to mention that I went live, and I was so nervous because I couldn't see myself. Usually when I go live, I'm comfortable seeing myself. And so, because I like making conversation with expressions. And so when I'm live, I can see my face, and I can make expressions to. But
you decided to not see yourself. That was what I didn't understand.
I know, it was my fault. I was trying to do the back facing thing, and the way it was set up, and it just didn't work out. And lesson learned. I won't do that again.
Yeah, because you had the camera facing, like you were sitting at a desk, and I was like, okay, she's gonna face the camera.
All right, I don't want to re-encounter what happened. I understand what happened. I'm lesson learned. I'm not gonna do it anymore.
And then she's gonna work on her stuff.
Yeah.
But then you didn't, and I was like, oh, okay. And then at one point you were like telling me to like watch your live stream, but then I ended up recording your live stream.
Yeah, I know. It was a mess. It was a mess. We won't do that again. I need to practice going live is what I need to do.
You were like, I thought you said or go live from your account, and I was like,
I think I said that, but what I meant was go watch my live.
And I was like, why do I need to go live from there? I was like, I don't know. Maybe she's just trying to create more buzz around it.
No,
I don't know.
It was a mess. It was, oh my God, just thinking about it. It's torture. I just want to stick my head in the wall.
But that's the other thing about live stream is like, I feel like people think it's like real TV. Like, so like some people, I think sometimes you can think of it as like it's real TV because it feels like real TV because you're like, oh, there's something about that, like you're live, and then all of a sudden it's like, I have to like be professional. I have to.
No, sometimes I have to treat it. I have to treat it like it's recording me as opposed to it's live.
Yeah, but I feel like there's like that like mentality for some reason that when you say like you're live, like people are like they feel like they can't like say like me like, hey, can you like they can't tell, like they can't talk to people off camera.
Yeah.
And they can't like do a lot of things, like I can't do a lot of stuff because I'm live,
the way
I'm broadcasting.
I don't mean to bicker, but when I was going live, I kept asking you, like behind the scenes, you kept making motions at me with big old hand gestures, and I was like,
I was like, I don't think that. I was like, I was not trying to be on the video myself. I was just trying to. You said, "Come help me," and I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go help."
I know.
But then I was like, I don't feel like I should be on the video, like talking and stuff.
Yeah, but you didn't even want your voice in the video, and I was like, "What the?"
Because I thought it was gonna be distracting.
No, and that's okay because that's the whole point of live, is that if you can navigate through all everyday like interactions and everyday things that happen, I think that's when you get that's when you do best at live.
Well, I think that's the thing.
I think the problem is that you keep trying. I think people, even on video calls, people keep trying to control it.
Well, I think that's the issue that I was trying to get at, is that for some reason that when you say live, you think of live like broadcast live, where you're all of a sudden like, there's a production crew and there's like other stuff happening, and you can't get, you can't go off your script, or you can't go off like what you're supposed to be talking about, like, because if not, they're gonna cut off and like cut you off and go to something else. They can't do that on live.
Instagram doesn't cut you off, no matter how bad you are. So unless you're doing inappropriate things, no matter how bad you are, I don't think Instagram's gonna be there. Just gonna be like this. Just let her. I need to like pay attention to myself too, because like I tell people,
like when I'm doing live streams with them, because I usually am lucky that I'm the one in the back.
Yeah.
I'm in the background. I'm not usually in the front. So I'm usually just telling them like, oh, well, you know, people don't expect perfection when you're doing live streams. So it's okay if you need to, like, you know, if you need to stop, you need to take a pause, or you need to, if something goes wrong, like, it's okay. Like, it's just live.